Hello everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and today is Tuesday, March 7th. You are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxTV. In support of Black professionals in media, the National Association of Black Journalists created a community providing innovative and quality programs. The nationwide community has several chapters, including the New York Association of Black Journalists. President of the New York chapter, Bonita Sostre, joined me to discuss the importance of this organization. Bonita, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, to start off, can we just talk about the overall organization that is the National Association of Black Journalists? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So it's an organization that started many years ago, and it started for one mission, and that's to help journalists of color, Black journalists, brown journalists, everybody. Everyone's welcome and accepted there. There's chapters all around the country. It's not just New York. Like you mentioned, there are chapters everywhere. And our biggest event is the convention that we do every summer where many journalists get their start, they get their first jobs. There's a ton of panels and learning opportunities.
Now, what is the mission and the goal of the New York chapter of the organization? And I guess, how do you make it a little bit different from maybe the other chapters?
So the New York chapter, we're one of the largest chapters that there is because we're New York. We're the @1 news market in the country. And so therefore our events are a little bigger. We have more people coming out. We have a lot of on-air talent that you see, at the network level, at the local level. We do a ton of events and panels. Even though, we're getting out of the COVID, we still do a Zoom panel every month and an in-person event every month as well.
Now, when people hear journalists, they often think of a reporter or a writer, but who qualifies to be a part of this association?
We take student members, we take content creators. We understand that the world of journalism has changed. So it's not just someone who's like on air holding a microphone. It's a producer who's behind the scene. It's someone with a really cool YouTube channel that's building content every day. It's podcasters out there. The New York Association of Black Journalists has their own podcast called The Sidebar. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music. So those are places where by coming into our organization, you can add stuff to your resume and you can say, yeah, I host my own podcast, where you may not have the opportunity if you're not a part of the organization or just don't have a job in that industry. But we welcome everybody.
I think that's so amazing. And I definitely wanted to highlight that because I was also surprised to see like, oh, wow. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, wow, there's support for me there too. So I think that's truly amazing. Can you just talk about the benefits of joining, this type of organization or association?
Absolutely. So it's a family. It's a networking community. So there are people that you're going to see who are going to help you go to your next job, get your first job, or just if you need advocacy, you need someone to talk to, you're having issues within your job. We are an advocate as well. So we will go and talk with companies and say, hey, let's work on this. Let's see how we can get things changed. So it's the networking aspect. As I mentioned before, we have all the events. It's the learning aspect. If it's something you're like, oh, hey, I've never thought about this, or I'm curious about this, we're probably offering a panel or have a member that I can connect you with, or someone is willing to connect you with to learn more about whatever that facet of journalism is.
Now, why is it important for Black people? And you also mentioned that other people of color, have these units and these communities. Why is it so important to have that, especially in a career, I guess dealing with media and journalism?
It's so important. So I went to an HBCU. That's a historically Black college. I went to Hampton University, go HU. And there I learned the importance of being around people who understood my background. They understood the ups and the downs. And NYABJ is the same way. You're in a community with other Black journalists who understand what you're going through. And that might be something that you're not going to get from a larger organization that don't focus on having people who have had those similar situations.
And could you just say, probably what inspired you, or what was that moment that you knew that this was something that you wanted to be a part of?
I was in college. I was getting my first internship, and I don't have any friends or family in the business. I'm first generation college graduate now, but I say college student, and I just didn't know. And I had a professor, Will Sutton, who is part of NYABJ, and he was just like, yeah, you need to be a part of your local chapter. We had a Hampton University chapter, and then I became part of my New York chapter after I graduated. And there were so many amazing events, and I met so many fabulous people who were willing to help me and just be mentors toward me. So that's when I knew I have to do this. Like, if I'm getting this mentorship, I want to continue to give mentorship.
And I think that's also really important that you mentioned that you didn't know anybody in the field, because I know sometimes people from certain backgrounds, our family members didn't have those same opportunities. And so sometimes when you don't have those spaces, like, you can lose out on those opportunities. So I think that's so amazing that you brought that up. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, the organization's workshops and seminars. Can you just give us a little bit more about, what goes into making those?
Oh my goodness. So we have a programming committee, and the programming committee is one of our largest committees, and they work very hard in making sure that we have both an online Zoom event as well as an in-person event. So we recently did an event with the executive producers of daytime talk shows. So we had the executive producer of the Sherry Shepherd Show, the executive producer of the Jennifer Hudson Show, and the executive producer of the Tamron Hall Show. These are huge shows, and these very important people took out an hour of their time to be on a Zoom call all together. Some of them were in LA, just to talk to our members about like what it takes to become an executive producer. So it takes a lot of time and effort to put them together, but they're usually really well received, and people come out, and our in-person events are similar.
And why did you want to further offer these different types of opportunities, especially I also want to add that it's not just for college students, which I think is amazing, because a lot of the times, like, usually only people in college get to kind of experience these things where they're like meeting people, but it could be somebody who's like in the middle of their career or maybe switching careers. So can you just talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we also have a high school program. So we have a high school program. We want college students, and we have mid-career people, early career people, and veteran journalists who are all part of the association. And that's what makes it a full circle and really encompassing, because you can talk to someone who's been in their career for 30, 40 years and someone who's mid-career and who's looking to like climb the corporate ladder and become like a manager or a director of a news station. So that's what we bring. That's why we do so many different types of panels. The executive producers for daytime talk shows, those are executive producers. When you come out of college, you're not going to get that job. But right. For a mid-level person, that was a great learning opportunity for them to learn how do you like get on the right track in order to one day get that executive producer position.
Now, what can people expect when they attend these types of events?
It's like a family reunion. It's like everyone's getting together, everyone's happy to see each other, everyone's as welcoming as possible, and you're probably going to sit next to a stranger or be with someone who came by themselves, and that's okay, because like everyone's so welcoming and willing to just talk, and we don't need awkward icebreakers. Sometimes we just do some fun trivia and we like get things moving.
Now, speaking of the trivia, you recently held the Black History Month brunch. I attended that, and it was also hosted by former Bronx Night reporter Darissa White. I was just really excited to be there. I thought it was really great. But can you just talk a little bit, about how that event went for you?
Absolutely. So I started planning that event back in October. That took a long time, and we knew we wanted to have it at a Black-owned restaurant, which is why we picked Sugar Bar, which is Astor and Simpson's restaurant. And it was just great bringing everyone together for a really great hearty meal and to celebrate Black History Month. And like I mentioned, we did some really fun trivia and gave away some great prizes. So it was an event where there were some people who never come to an NYABJ event there, and there were some like people who come to everything. Right. And it was just a nice time where people enjoyed themselves and had great conversation and fun.
And I want to add that was my first time going. So, why is it important to kind of have it, like, it's not this exclusive thing. Like, if you're not a part of the association, you can still attend these events. Why did you want that to be available to so many different types of people?
Well, with new people, we bring in new energy and we do new things and we learn about new things. So every new person is a new learning opportunity. So I want people to come and for them to learn something or to meet a new person, because now you have someone new on your Rolodex. The journalism industry is so small that you're going to meet someone someplace else. And it's always good to know someone, if you're going to a new situation.
And I want to just let people know, sometimes it can be scary to go to these types of things, like, especially if you're just not that type of like outgoing person. But the energy was very just so friendly, and I was sitting next to people that I didn't know, and we were just talking, and things like trivia kind of just gives you a chance to talk to different people. So I thought that was really amazing. You did a wonderful job with that. Now, I understand that you will host the Boss Babe brunch for Women's History Month. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I'm really excited. Just the sound of it just sounds amazing. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we are partnering with another female-led organization, Adopt Them, and we are going to be coming together there. We've rented out a really cool space. We're going to be doing lots of pampering. We're going to have like little facials. We're going to have our nails getting done, little manicures, all kinds of pampering spa type activities, as well as some brunch, some mimosas, and some great inspiring talks from different people. We're going to be bringing in some people to talk about salary and some people just to talk about self-care and the need for, especially as Black women, to take care of themselves and not just work, but also just remember that you need to relax sometimes. So that's what we're hoping to do with that.
Now, I'm really excited, and I think it's so important because usually when you have organizations that focus on, let's say, a minority, and it's just like, maybe your racial or ethnic background, sometimes people forget that there's intersectionality within that. And there are also women, that are in this organization that would like to be highlighted as well. So can you just talk about the importance of having this moment and highlighting Black women within the NYABJ?
Absolutely. So everyone says it's strong Black women. It's what you hear, but it's really important, like you said, to highlight them, to share them, to have them share the knowledge that they've gained in, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about salary transparency and just making sure you're working so hard, you're getting paid fairly, you're pampering yourself, you're taking care of yourself, you're highlighting those journalists and those other just professionals within the industry who make the wheels turn. And that's why we want to do this. It's also Women's History Month, so right. It's an easy peg, as we say.
Now, what are the steps to actually join the association?
I mean, it's really easy. You go to NYABJ.org, and that's where you go to find out more about our events. We also are the same on social media, so Instagram and Facebook. We have a link tree with everything in there, so you can sign up to be a member there. And take care of everything right there. It's like a 2-minute process, not even.
And what would you say to somebody who maybe has this imposter syndrome where they feel like, maybe I'm not ready yet, or maybe I'm not successful enough yet to join this? What would you say to them?
I would say everyone's ready. Everyone can join. I mentioned we have high schoolers. We do a high school program called First Take, and we have some professional journalists that have come out of that. So from high schoolers all the way up into veteran journalists, everyone is welcome. Everyone is accepted, and we have programs for everybody.
And do you offer any type of, the awards or recognize, different types of journalists? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So our second annual Juneteenth Gala will be on Juneteenth. It's going to be at the Water Club. It's going to be hosted by CBS News correspondent and anchor Michelle Miller. And we are so excited for that. The tickets are on sale on our website, NYABJ.org. We are having an early bird special going on right now. So it's going to be a fun event where we will be recognizing our Black Excellence Awards. So our finalists were just released for those awards. So they were going to be giving out 6 different awards in different categories: sports, network news, local news, podcast, radio, etc. So those will all be announced come June 19th at the Water Club. And it'll just be a really amazing event where you get to put on your dancing shoes and get dressed up and have a fun night out.
Well, Bonita, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The Boss Babe Brunch will be hosted on Saturday, March 11th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. To find out more about this event, please go to the NYABJ website at www.nyabj.org or follow them on social media at NYABJ. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Open right after this.